Hello and welcome to Head and Shoulders Convos. We're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to talk about the athletes and some of the stuff that's just on YouTube. Okay. So in the background, it's not going to be too much going on. You can kind of close your eyes on this. I will be putting up some pictures and whatnot, but it's not going to be anything like the normal here. So just sit back, relax, and I guess if you have any other conversations and you want to contribute to that, definitely put it in the comment section below. I really want to do this on a live stream. That's why I had a broadcast, call-in broadcast, but I'm going to wait until we get to about maybe 10,000 subscribers. And then that's when I'll start pumping out the animated races. Like I said, some of the videos that we have coming up about the call-in line again, because some people have been requesting to do that call-in broadcast, but it's just not enough people. It's just not enough people there. So with that being said, all right, let's get started with this. So yeah, in the comment section, we had a couple of people that said that in the last video where it's titled Jamaica 2015 4x1, look at Prandini's bend, she could be dangerous. Now, in that one was referring to Jenna Prandini potentially being able to like look at how she ran against Elaine Thompson on that third bend. All right, I'm not going to bring up the video again because we already covered that on the last one, but and here's the image for that. But look at that bend that she and Elaine Thompson did. She covered her just about a stride, maybe it was a stride and a half on her. Because if you look at how the exchanges went down, it was Jamaica with a larger lead, Trinidad and Tobago, and then the United States. Or at the very least, it was Jamaica with a larger lead, and then the US. The lead shrank when Elaine Thompson handed it off to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, and Prandini handed it off to the anchor leg. All right, look back at the race. It was a bigger gap, and then it shrank. Nobody can say, because there was somebody that's saying Morrison did not pull away from Felix. Neither did IE close any gap. This is what one of the comments said. Veronica pulled away from Gardner to give Morrison a decent lead. Watch the handoff. And IE only appeared to close the gap because of the angle. Runners closer to the camera always appear to be running faster than those running on the outer lane. Okay, here's a myth right here. They're running on the back straightaway, which is a straight line. There is no closer to the camera thing that you would get on maybe the home straightaway in the 100, because remember, in the 100, they're angling it, but on the back straightaway, it's a literal as if you're in the stands looking at them from a straight line and you can see them. So one thing is, when Trinidad and Tobago handed it off to IE, they were slightly behind the United States. The next exchange, they handed it off at there or just before the United States. Look at the exchanges. It was Jamaica, USA, right there, and then IE closed up on them. And then look at the next exchange. Also, there's a fallacy in this. If the runner that is closest to the camera, that is IE, is running faster, then what about Morrison? Because she's the furthest one. It's IE was closer, then it was Felix, and then Morrison was on the outside of that. Both of those can't be true at the same time. It can't be Morrison not pulling away and also IE not closing up the gap. Because if that's the case, then why didn't Felix look like she was pulling away or closing up the gap on Morrison? If she doesn't look like she's closing up the gap on Morrison, and you're saying that it appears, here's the fallacy in your argument, and it appears that the inside runner is always going to appear faster, then that means Morrison was pulling away. Let's just say that it's true. IE wasn't closing up on Felix. It just appeared to be that way because she's on the inside lane. If Felix and Morrison appeared to be even on the back straightaway and she's the closer runner, that means she got pulled away on. If Morrison appears to be pulling away from Felix and Felix is on the inside lane, using your logic, remember, that means Felix really got pulled away on. Remember that. You said inside runner appears to be running faster because that runner's on the inside. Okay, cool. We'll keep your logic, because two things were going on. You can't get ate up on and gapped because of that. And if that's the case, then how come we can always say that when the start happens, somebody's making up the stagger on someone else? We can see it on the back straightaway. Please explain that, because your logic doesn't appear to be true here. Just think back to what you're saying. It doesn't make any sense that we ever say somebody eats up or has a good start on the bends, because we could clearly see when somebody makes up a stagger. That's not even close. We can see on the back straightaway in a 400 when somebody had the stagger eaten up on them too. And that's the same thing here. Felix was getting her butt ate up on. Morrison pulled away from Felix. You look at the handoffs. Like I said, I looked at this race over 40 times in completion, and then many other times with each exchange. I played it on half speed and I played it on normal speed. I even played it on 0.75, so 75% the speed. And each one of those, I looked at where in the exchange zone they were handing off to, and then where it was. The best bend was either Elaine Thompson or Prandini on that bend. Now, on the back straightaway, the best leg was either IE or Morrison. The British were there close with the Americans were close for that fourth best exchange or the back straightaway run. Look at all the athletes. I look from the outside to the inside, where they exchanged, who exchanged first, how the exchanges were done. Now, there is an argument to be made here that maybe a better exchange gave a better acceleration for Trinidad and Tobago. But with that being said, that means Trinidad and Tobago, IE, still ran faster than Alice and Felix, because if her exchange is better, that means it allowed her to have a longer acceleration zone time and then get a better running start. And then she smoothly went there. That's why the 2012 team broke the world record, and no teams after that, even though they put together, both Jamaica and the USA put together faster teams since then. There were teams that had on paper faster runners than the 2012 team, yet 2012 team is the one that broke the world record. Okay, that means there is a difference between people running and their exchanges that affects how fast an athlete can run. Just like when Prandini came and got her exchange from Felix, she was able to, you see the pop in the slight makeup of the stagger right there, and then it just stays about even. It's not like she ate her up. There's a difference. Alice and Felix got ate up. That's what it is, just plain out by IE. And then Morrison pulled away from the rest of the field on the back straightaway. Let me ask you this. If Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, let's put her on the back straightaway, are you telling me she wouldn't be able to pull away from everybody else if it was Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce's in place of IE or Natasha Morrison in place of her? You would literally, with a straight face, type the same thing you typed and said, well, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce just appeared to be making up the stagger or eating up on Alice and Felix, even though we know that she's way faster than Alice and Felix. She's not even close. They're not even close. But if Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce was second leg, are you going to say with a straight face and type out and say, well, she was in lane 3, Felix was in lane 4, and another team, Trinidad and Tobago, was in lane 5, so, or 4, 5, and 6, whatever it is. But Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce was on the inside lane, so she only appeared to be running faster. That doesn't make any logical sense. Replace it with different athletes, and it'll still do the same thing. There's a such thing as somebody pulling away from somebody else, because Alice and Felix and Morrison aren't the same speed. Neither is IE, and sometimes athletes can run better than at different times. Jeter, and here's the final thing, and I'm going to go to a different topic, but Jeter has been has had the fastest anchor leg. Now, remember this. This isn't the fastest leg. This is the fastest anchor leg, because they do splits with other things. I remember on the men's side, there was somebody on the second leg. I forget who. I think it was like a football player that had the fastest second leg of all time or something like that. Or at least at one point, he was an NFL player, and then he also did track and field. But his second leg was one of the fastest of all time. But then they also have a where they track the anchor leg and say, well, this is the fastest one. And of course, his anchor leg, you bring it home. So of course, people want to be able to track that, right? So with that being said, Carmelita Jeter has the fastest anchor leg of all time. Now, if Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce on any of her anchor legs ran against the 2012 version of Carmelita Jeter, she would have gotten pulled away on. Now, if Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce was on the outside lane, which would appear inside to the camera, you using your logic, would have said it only appeared that Carmelita Jeter was pulling away from her. Whereas we got facts that Carmelita Jeter has the fastest time. Replace any version of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. We know this for a fact. And before the people that are Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce fans get butthurt, this is just a fact. Place any version of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce on the anchor, and Carmelita Jeter beats her. Now, it depends on how much. Now, placing both of them at the same time in a similar exchange, maybe it would have been different. But how it goes right now, if you just place the exact same times, Carmelita Jeter beats any other female athlete on that anchor leg. Now, let's go to a different comment. Somebody said that I'm a white guy that is holding down the black people. Like, now, you can't make this stuff up. Number one, I'm not white. Number two, why are you concerned? You kind of sound like one of those people that it's kind of like those people that scream out that somebody is an istophobe, a misogynist or something like that when they disagree with them, and it's a man disagreeing with a woman, and then they just yell out misogynist, or somebody that says racist when all they did was disagree with them, right? I disagree with somebody that I said you're smoking a crack pipe because this person got angry and said, why are you always on Jamaicans behind? They're going to always do well. Basically, that was the summary of their comment. And then I was like, dude, you smoking a crack pipe. What the heck are you talking about? I literally made a post about Jamaica potentially winning to 400, and then the person got angry. They must have got angry and this is what they look like. See this image right here? This is what I'm doing. Like, dude, what the heck? But they must have gotten a little bit butthurt because I said, who's coming after Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce? That's important to note. If I'm a coach, if I'm somebody that's running the country's administration, I'm trying to recruit as much as possible. Because look, obviously you got politics and everything, but when it comes with different aspects of life, life doesn't revolve around sports, the entertainment for us, right? But if I'm one of those people in the administration, I'm figuring out, okay, who's the next person that's going to take over? Because we obviously saw on the men's side, Johan Blake fell off like completely. He's going through his own issues, injury, or whatever like that. But there was nobody there after Usain Bolt for the time being. The last Usain Bolt, 2017 was the last time we saw him. 2019, Jamaica nowhere to be seen. So far, Jamaica's nowhere to be seen this year. So obviously, it's only been 2 championships, and then the one with Usain Bolt at his last championship, Jamaica didn't medal at all because he pulled up in the home straightaway. But hey, what has happened to Team Jamaica on the men's side? It's going to be a little bit of dip, a little bit of recovery, right? Maybe they can come back in 20. Maybe Johan Blake can medal now, right? If he doesn't get a goal, I mean, him just medaling, that's a big deal too, because that's him coming back from being nowhere on the radar, nowhere in the top 10, nowhere in the top 20, I think in the 200 or something like that, either one of the 200. But him coming back to medal, I think he gets a lot of respect, and I hope that people in Jamaica will respect him for putting out his heart. He's trying hard and everything. Now, I don't know how I got appeared to be a white man holding down a black person. Now, that is hilarious. And that's the type of stuff I don't like seeing at all, because I am black, right? I am black. And just looking at other black people saying, well, this peer person is holding me down. No, you're lazy. And if somebody's disagreeing with you, you don't even know what they look like or whatever, it's funny. But I guess I sound like I'm not black or something. It doesn't really matter to me. And then somebody else said something about the last time a white, now we're going to this part. They said the last time a white European they hyped up a white person, what did they do at the Olympics? And then I had to correct them for a second. Now, obviously, this wasn't the Olympics, right? This wasn't the Olympics, but it was at least, why is this image of Justin Gatlin not looking good? Let's get him at a larger one. Yeah, actually, I'll use this one. Now it's going to appear on the screen in a second. But yeah, they said that they did nothing. Okay. What exactly was this nothing that they did? Okay, cool. I don't know. I'm looking out there at the athletes. Yes, I'm aware of what color, where they're coming from, the nationality, the race, whatever that these athletes are. But when I see somebody like that, yeah, sure. Wouldn't you, if you were in somebody else's shoes and skin, wouldn't you like to see somebody that looked like you at the top every once in a while? It's nice to see somebody. It's just like saying, I want to see my country win. Like people got nationalism. So somebody's going to say, hey, I want to see a white person. I'm white. I want to see a white person, or as a black person, or somebody from that is Asian or something like that. And they say, hey, I want to see this person. It gets kind of boring to see that. Me personally, I think it's boring that the United States basically just trumps and like just demolishes the rest of the world in 4x4s. It's kind of boring. It's not close like that, except for one of the championships on the men's side and on the women's side. Aside from that, no, two. One at the Olympics, one at the World Championships for the men. Aside from that, the U.S. is a huge gap. After the first leg is a huge gap between the U.S. and it's like they're just kind of doing a victory couple of laps before their victory lap in a 4x4. It would be nice to see it like the collegiate or the high school state meets or the collegiate championships where there's still looks to be close enough where it's a challenge. And I'm like, yo, I want to see some other nations get up in the mix. Even if the U.S. wins, I want to see some drama. I want to see something. I don't want to keep seeing year after year a boring repeat of it, right? So some people might want to see somebody that looks like a different color to be at the top. Don't you think some Chinese people want to see somebody from China win, even if they're not necessarily from China? Now, they would probably prefer somebody from China, but think of it like that. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. It has nothing to do with somebody being racist or something. It's just, hey, that will be nice to see, right? So with that being said, now getting back to that, you forgot about Daphne Skippers being winning the 200 twice. I think we just forgot about that because Skippers was the European threat, and she was able to, do some damage on people. So I don't know about somebody just saying, oh, the last time a white person this. I'm like, look, I just said Jenna Prandini got a chance of being dangerous. She's got the fourth fastest time this year in the 200, and we're gonna count her out. I'm not counting out Gabby Douglas. Gabby Douglas, what the heck? I'm thinking of gymnastics. Gabby Thomas at all right now either. So like I'm not counting out Gabby Thomas. So why would anybody else want to count out an athlete that does it? I just said that I wonder. This is what people are getting confused with. I said, I wonder if she can repeat her finish. That's all I said. And then I said, there is a chance that she may not medal. There's a chance that any of these athletes can't medal. But it's like, if you hear that, the chance, it's like people go bonkers and they just hear one thing they may not agree with, or they get one thing that they said, no, this person must do it. On paper, people are always faster than somebody else. Elaine Thompson was coming in faster than other people, and then she did what she did. Asafa Powell, world record holder at one point, could not get a gold medal and barely got himself 2 bronzes. So when it comes down to that, we gotta just realize that that there's a chance for athletes to do well. And look, here's Daphne Skippers right here. Just in case somebody wants to argue and say it's not true, she won in 2015, and then it was like everybody forgot in 2017 that she won in 2015. I was one of those everybody that forgot. I was like, oh yeah, she is defending champion. Well, here you go. Boom. She also won in 2017. Now, has she won at the Olympics? No, she has not won at the Olympics. But let's not count her out, because she was the silver medalist in the Olympics. What are we supposed to say? Oh, Elaine Thompson beat her, and so therefore she's worth nothing. Like what? Elaine Thompson got second at the World Championships in the 200 before too. Should I count out Elaine Thompson or Elaine Thompson-Herah? So let's just keep that in mind. Also, I remember, here's the next subject. That's why I said I wish I could do this on live stream. Then we could have some things there. Maybe I will do a premiere on this one, so there's a live chat that's going. I don't know. But yeah, so somebody said, because I said it's a lot of people that when I post up videos dealing with Americans, those get lower views on my channel compared to anybody that I picture outside of the United States, right? I'll post something about U.S. shot put. Now, I can understand maybe there's not a lot of people that are interested in shot put that are on my channel. And I did that when the channel was a lot smaller. And for those people that don't know that, just go to the playlist on there. I have a playlist section. It says world record discussion or something along those lines. Click that. Shot put is in there. 400 hurdles is in there, so on and so forth. I'm going to start covering but the long jump and triple jump as well, because a triple jump world record is at threat. Triple jump world record has been at threat literally since Ibarguen has been at her prime way back 2013 or whatever. It's been on threat since 2013. Then Rojas is now taking over from that because Ibarguen has suffered through some injury. She's coming back. I don't think she's at her form. She's not going to be able to defend her title. But when it comes to this, look, I said a comment about that. And then so somebody said, I'm American who supports Jamaican sprinters. So I'm one of the people you are talking about. Like when I say, hey, I post up other people and then it's the lower views, even with Allison Felix, because people were kept requesting Allison Felix over and over. And that was just discussing her breakdown in the 400. And so the person continues, in the past, I rooted for the USA. Why did I stop? Mostly, it seems that Jamaican athletes are nicer people than the Americans. At least it is easier to relate to them as human beings. Now, this particular individual relates more to the niceness of it. Now, me personally, I love to see arrogant athletes. I would love to see an arrogant Usain Bolt, trash talking Donovan Brazier, to see somebody just like, hey, I am the best. I am the best. I'm the top. You can't beat me. I love to see those types of athletes. I mean, Richardson, if she can get something behind her, shoot, all I have at it. The drama is great. If you can start backing it up, and if you get beat, it's even more satisfying when those people win or they get beat. For the haters or the people that don't like that type of thing, it's more satisfying. So this individual would be satisfied when he sees the trash talking Americans get beat, right? Now, Michael Norman is one of those guys that is more humble. So you could probably relate to him, not speaking for him at all. But like he said, he doesn't root for the USA because it's like, hey, you know what? They don't do that. So it doesn't jive with them. So that explains some of it. And I think some people it's just, hey, look, Americans, I mean, probably myself included, got like this huge ego to the rest of the world. I've traveled out and gone to different places, and I can get the sense of that. And that humbles a lot of people. That's why I think a lot of Americans should actually leave the country and get outside and realize that the world doesn't revolve around the US, give a new appreciation about how good some things are in the US, and then how caged up other things are. So it's every place has its positives and negatives, but yeah, I can see that right there. So let me see. Let's go back to this 200 list. And on the next time, guys, if you want to submit some topic that we talk about, then yeah. Another thing, how do you guys feel about me doing 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., maybe 7 p.m. Eastern times, as far as, well, 6 p.m. Eastern times, as far as doing live streams to cover these? Because I'm going to do a pre-race coverage for Japan on Thursday, this Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. It might be 5 p.m. Central, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time in the US. What do you guys feel about that? Now let's get off of 2016 for a second. But how do you all feel about that? Because I want to keep growing the channel and get people involved. If you guys are actually going to be there, then that's great. Otherwise, then, oh well. Now, some people think Jenna Prandini got an outside chance of getting a medal. Hey, look, maybe she has an outside chance of getting a medal, but I think she's dangerous because her bend has shown in the past. She was obviously on the bend, was able to keep up with Elaine Thompson, which I still think her better event would be the 200, even though she's not showing her form just so far this year. Now, another thing, let me see something here. What do you guys actually hold on? All right, I had to pause this for a second to make sure I checked this correctly. So a lot of people think that I'm hating on Flojo or something like that because of a few comments that I said. Number one, I've always had I've said this from the beginning, from when I started this YouTube channel to like afterward, that a lot of people, and if you look at this actually on some of the governing bodies websites for athletics, and it's different from each one, and you can even see it on whoever wrote the Wikipedia page, which I thought was hilarious. they actually submitted that they don't know if the world record might be legal, and that it's arguable that the world record, and it even has a W by it as wind assisted for the world record for FloJo. Now, that's not me doing it. That's different governing bodies within under the World Athletics moniker for different countries. And that is, now I know that's probably not the standard practice. Now, World Athletics does not have a W next to it, but the Wikipedia does, and some of the countries' monikers, they have wind assisted on it. So not everybody is agreeing. Now, look, don't blame the freaking messenger. Blame them for doing that. Blame them that didn't have the wind reading when it was like, hey, the other events and other stuff had different wind readings. Obviously, the wind is not going to be in the same exact in every location. But if you get 10 meters away or whatever that is, and the jumpers, they're getting like 4.0s or whatever the wind reading was, and you see everything, the flags blowing crazy, I think it's kind of hard to argue that it was a zero and flat wind, because so many people had a problem. Some of the same people, and I noticed this in the comment section, some of the same people that said that I'm a FloJo hater because I mentioned that some think that the actual world record legally is 1061, are some of the same people that commented and said, and I pay attention to this now, they commented and said Okabari did not have or they played around with the wind reading for a long time. They were like questioning why Okabari, it took them and they changed the wind reading overnight or something like that, or whatever, for her race. And it was still an illegal wind reading. So it's not like they gave her a legal wind reading, right? And then she had her time, right? So she had an illegal wind reading, so it wasn't counted at all. But so many of those same people, some of them said that. Now, not everybody that has commented, let me just say that. But don't blame me for just mentioning that. I don't hate FloJo at all. I don't dislike FloJo either. It's just she's there. She was dominant. She ran some fast times in the semis that would win, other than Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. Because Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, every time she wins, she runs sub 10.8. She runs a 10.7 something. And look at her resume. It's just sub there. But in the semis, even for FloJo, she could beat most of the athletes in the finals of the 100 at the Olympics and World Championships. So I mean, I don't know. She's fast. I mean, it kind of got solidified there. But it's just like saying, hey, what if Okabari came back with no wind reading afterward, right? Some of you guys will look at Okabari because you don't have a particular liking for her. Well, I'm just looking at it like, yeah, whatever. And I'm looking at you guys like, okay. Just because you may not like the athlete doesn't mean anything. I did not care for Usain Bolt. Here's something. I didn't care for Usain Bolt for the longest. I didn't care about him for the longest. I know. Some people might be surprised by that, to see that I didn't care for him like that. But I just didn't care for him for the longest. He was just kind of there. I'm just like, yeah, I don't particularly care for him at all. But then I learned to respect him because he knew how to win. He would win year after year. I still remember in 2009, I'm like, yeah, Tyson Gay could beat him. And I think Tyson Gay could have beat him. But that wasn't to be there. They ran into a negative, into a headwind too. Just picture that the world record would be faster. But Usain Bolt, everything clicked. He had a good start, not the best start. He had a good start for him. That was a phenomenal start. It might have been an average start for other people, but he had a good start. He got away from Tyson Gay, then they pulled about even, and he slightly pulled away from him later on. Had he not had one of his good starts, that race would have been closer. Tyson Gay most likely would have lost, even with one of Usain Bolt's normal starts where he's just not getting out that good. But he got out. Everything worked for him in Berlin. Now, like I said, some of you guys are surprised that I might not have cared for Usain Bolt. That doesn't mean I disliked him at all. He was just, like I said, kind of there. Just kind of there. So I think we got to be able to separate some of our feelings from these athletes when you're looking at that. But obviously, this is all good for sport. Y'all come on, y'all keep on arguing in the comment section because look, the drama, I love it when it comes to sports. If you start bringing it into real life, or you start saying, "Hey, I'm a white man holding you down" or something like that, now you're starting to get into like some ridiculous territory. But if you're just saying this thing or the other thing that's within the sport, go ahead, have at it. Everybody gonna have their favoritism or whatever. I'm just trying to be as analytical as possible. Obviously, I'm gonna have my biases. We all do when we come into things, right? I'm going to be as analytical as possible because if I had a bias, I would do nothing but cover, like I said, America, Nigeria, and maybe a few other nations. And it wouldn't even be this. Like I said, this is head and shoulders above the rest. There are some athletes that I've not covered. In the 100, we got athletes. This is a stacked field for the women's 100. The men's 100 is not quite there. It's basically set up to be a 1-2-3 American affair. Now, I think Curly is probably on the weaker side of that, but that doesn't mean that it still doesn't have the potential to be a 1-2-3 American affair now. All right. When it comes to the men's shot put, oh my goodness, I covered that, and I don't even think I got 100 views on that video even now. That is my lowest view video when I covered the world record that took place in the shot put. Uh-oh, need to plug up my computer. But anyway, I covered the world record in the men's shot put, and I don't even think I got 100 views on that video. That is crazy. My lowest view video by far. And I'm still going to cover the men's shot put because that's head and shoulders above the rest. It is one of the most stacked fields. Just like in Doha, that one got me excited. My freaking skin was my hair was raised. Like just thinking back to it now. You all that don't watch field events like that, and particularly shot put, even when I showed you all the Jamaican shot putter that got second at Doha, and you guys were like, who is this? Some of you guys don't pay attention to that, but you got a silver medalist from Jamaica at the World Championships that's competing at the Olympics now. Now, she isn't ranked as high, and the competition is a lot more fierce this year. So it's going to be a lot harder for her to get a medal. But you guys got somebody like that, and it was a stacked field in the men's shot put. Try to look at the field events for a couple of times. Like I said, my overall favorite event is the pole vault. I coached pole vault, and I took a liking to it, and I'm like, wow, this is my favorite event. I'm not even going to talk about who I got to go to nationals or whatever there. It's irrelevant, but I took an appreciation for those things. So guys, just look at some of the other events because I am going to cover what's head and shoulders. I still haven't got a chance to cover Rojas. It's just a lot of different events. That's why I said we need to maybe reduce the events. We got to reduce the events. That's what I think. In track and field, we got to reduce the events. So when it comes to that, maybe you all don't agree, but I would reduce them drastically. We got way too many events. It's too many things to try to keep track of. And I think for growing a sport, sometimes you got to make some changes. Everybody isn't going to agree. Me personally, I would keep the pole vault because that is my literal favorite. So if anything, I would keep the pole vault. If it doesn't work, that'll be a special event on the side as far as within a track and field league. If I were to recreate anything or to create a track and field league, a proper one. The American Track League, that's a good step in the right direction. Hopefully it gets more popular in the future and that starts to grow because we got to have something that's there. I would like them to make it team-based. A lot of people do not agree with that. So like I said, I transitioned to another subject like seamlessly. This is just a bunch of thoughts here that I'm trying to address in this video. I don't expect this thing to even get 1,000 views. If even 200 or 300 or people to make it through the whole thing. So if you made it this far, let me know in the comment section below. Actually, I will put you in a raffle. If you made it this far into the video, I'm going to put you in a raffle to win 100 USDT Tether. That's going to be Tether as in a crypto, because I want to see who's actually making it this far into these videos. This will be an interesting one. But with that being said, like I said, if I were to recreate this, I would have less events, maybe 7, 9, or 13 events. And it's going to be kind of hard to do that. I don't think 7 is a real feasible thing, but 100 and 1500 are definitely there. Those are not going to change. Those are the staple events. When somebody looks at the Olympics and where most of the money goes, with the exception of how Usain Bolt was in the 200, most of the highlights go to the 100 and 1500. Why? Because the 1500 is the metric mile. The mile is just like this thing. I'm over here wanting to break 4 minutes in the mile. Something that I don't think 1,500 people have even done before. So with that being said, that's a classic thing. The 100 is a classic thing because it's the moniker of the world's fastest human, right? So those two are definitely going to stay. 4x4, I am almost most certainly getting rid of. Not because of what I said earlier about the Americans or anything like that, but literally because, okay, unless it's team based. Now, team based, I could keep the 4x4, and that might just be a special thing at the end of the season or in the championships where you don't do that during the regular season. For example, in cross country, women are running 8K, 8K, 8K the whole season, and then at the championships for cross country and in the collegiate level, now they might have changed it. They run a 10K. So it's kind of interesting how they didn't add 2,000 extra meters at that point. I think they should just be running 10K the whole year if they're going to run a 10K at the end. But hey, that's just me. So in this case, we would be running other things, and then you could put together a 4x4 team. So I would keep the 1 in the 1500, and then from there we'd have some field events, likely the triple jump because that one gives some variety. You get to see the technique and everything. I think I would drop high jump. I know there's going to be like, wait a minute, you drop a high jump. High jump is out. Pole vault, I would experiment with high jump and pole vault. To be honest, I'll experiment with some because if it's a new league, I'm going to experiment with how the ratings go with where the attention is. But pole vault, I would likely keep because that is you seeing somebody go super high into the air and just breaking it down to the fundamental parts. You're saying, oh, super high in the air. This person can go up there. That's kind of cool. Like I can't do that. It's like watching somebody jump at a basketball game and they're going extremely high up in the air and they're not only dunking, but they're dunking over a person. That's the difference between NBA and WNBA as a side subject. It's not that the women aren't playing well. And a lot of people say that the women's basketball, they're technically better than the men. That is actually incorrect. You can see them where they have games that don't even get above what there was a game that didn't even get above what 30 points for each team. Like that's not being technically better. That's what's going on. You can't even score like that. There's a lot of different things where they say one thing and they just put that saying out and it just gets repeated as a fact. It's a lot of things you could break down between both of those. But getting back to track and field, 100, 1500, I'd have a 4x1. I have taken and realized that the 4x1 is like watching NASCAR. Like how people watch NASCAR, it's a very quick race. It's just drama can happen. Like I will figure out a way where if it's team based, you have an A squad and a B squad for that 4x1 or something where you can have 2 4x1s. They both count for scores or something like that for the team championship title or whatever. And then if we were to have a championship final, right, it would be over multiple days, kind of like the Olympics. So you'll have a 1-day final. The track meets might last about 1 to 2 hours in total, maybe, right? Commercial breaks included. So that gives you a little bit more rest with less events, more commercials, less and less running. But then you come back because if the NCAAs can have these athletes come back and they're like, yeah, 30 minutes later, you got to run from the 100 to now you got to do the 200. Well, and they run extremely fast times. You can have these other athletes run very fast times in the same way. So I can't take away that like Richardson, she ran that 1075 at the NCAA finals. Then she came back, what was it, 30 minutes? Maybe it was 40 minutes later. Could have been less. To come back to the 200 finals. Not only that, she had to make it through the prelims, semis, finals for both the 1 and the 2. And now, obviously, she finished second, but she was right there at the line. So one slight lean change with that, what is it, a 10th of a second difference? Maybe it was a 100th of a second. But one little change right there, and she would have won both. The fact that she could come back and do both of them in fast times, that tells me a lot right there. Right. So that I can't say, oh, yeah, that'll take away from their performances. Doesn't seem to be taken away from performances too much. Right. Because if that's the case, then we could have them slightly slower, but it's still more entertaining. I'm up for the entertainment, speed and everything. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's actually make a fast track. If you want to make a fast track, here's another thing. If you want to make a fast track, let's make a fast track. This is going to be a track where they're going to run in. We're going to have it the regular season. They'll run on whatever tracks. And then at the end of the season, they're all going to be standardized tracks. Very standard, where they're all similar speeds. So we can't say, oh, this one's fast, that one's fast. They're all going to be the same type of material, made in different locations. And then the one that you run at the end of the season, the one at the championships, now that one, we're going to make that a harder surface, or however it has to go, where we getting the spring out of their steps. It's going to, oh yeah. And I can experiment with both and say, hey, run on these, run on this one, to see where the speed difference is and actually measure that. Because right now they say things are fast tracks and slow tracks, and then we get fast times run on these slow tracks, and then we get slow times run on the fast tracks. Which one is it? Right? It's the day. So if we want to play around with that, we can do that. Guys, what do you guys think about for the next topic of me just kind of doing the flow of thoughts and addressing some of the things here that's going there? Oh, one more thing. Some people in the comment section, I don't know, think that they just curse people out. I don't know where this is coming from, where they'll just kind of curse a person out and then just think it's okay to do that. Like somebody is calling me an effing, shut the F up, I'm an effing idiot, or something like that. Look, I will block you from the channel. I have no problem of doing that. Okay. I'm going to look at you. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to block you from the channel. You got to get that much in your feelings that you think you could just come up and just trash talk somebody with like no sense. It's one thing saying, hey, somebody's smoking a crack pipe or whatever. I'm not going to curse you out now. I might call you a dummy. You call me a dummy, that's fine. But you start cursing at me or whatever, maybe you need to learn some manners and go somewhere else, because I'm not about to take that right here. So, oh yeah, by the way, people should listen to Dalila Muhammad's podcast. I think this is a good one to listen to her thoughts on what she's trying to do, where she's going, where she's coming from, and everything like that. And her hosting. She also is one of the people that did, if you watch the promotional for the U20 World Youth Championships in Nairobi, then she's one of the people. She was the first person that opened up. And I was just like, wait a minute, what the heck did she just say? I had to adjust that she was speaking Kenyan. So with that being said, the final thing, Kenya, Nairobi, high altitude, definitely high altitude. And somebody said, well, it's not high altitude like Mexico City. The fact of the matter is, high altitude like Mexico City or not, it's high altitude. These other races and everything, they don't take place in altitude. So it is going to be slight advantage to the sprinters, slight disadvantage, major disadvantage to the distance runners, especially the ones that are not used to it. They're not going to have the chest cavities or lungs that are as big to handle the oxygen that they will be in at this type of altitude. So it's going to be more conducive for people that are altitude training, and especially the people that grew up in the altitude and the heat of what's similar to Nairobi. It is what it is. Same thing with some of the sprint races. They might be a little bit faster because of how thin the air is and so many other factors that deal with high altitude. But keep that in mind when we are seeing the marks, because if that wasn't the case, then the long jump world record that was set in Mexico Olympics would have likely been touched or broken by now. It's going to be very hard. It's going to be a heck of an athlete that is able to touch that long jump world record without the altitude assistance, because that's kind of like how some people are viewing Flojo, where they're like, hey, she had wind assistance. It's going to be one heck of an athlete to get that without a wind assisted thing. And in my next video, I'm going to address if Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce runs a 10-5, will they adjust it down to a 10.49? Or if she runs close to the world record, like within a tenth, will they match her or round it down to do that? I used to be a timer. I know some of the conversations that the timers have had behind the scenes and what kind of goes on if something goes wrong in the background. And I'm going to address that directly. That doesn't mean that they round it down and do something malicious, but I will address that in one of the next videos leading up to the Olympic coverage. We got to have something in between. No races are going on. So here's a video for you guys. But catch you all on the next one.